Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Shion Stitches again. We're going to be making this Adire crepe jumbo pants or baggy pants. I use two different types of Adire crepe. Yes, it's this trending fabric. So if this sounds like something you might be interested in, please let's go, and do not forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed, and to all my old subscribers that waited, I just want to say a very big thank you to you guys. I appreciate your presence, I appreciate your loyalty, and thank you for hanging on up to this point. So Shion is back and better. So guys, let's get into the video. So like I said, I'm going to be using two different types of Adure crepe, and one is they're both 1 yard plus. So I'm going to be using this greener one for the front piece, and I'm going to use keep aside the other one. So first thing first, I'm going to fold my fabric into two. Now I folded into 18 inches. That's because I divided my hip measurement divided by 4. I added 5 inches um is, or it's jumbo pants, right? Then I added my crotch extension of about 2.8 inches or so. So now that I have it on fold, I want to mark off the rough edges. It's actually kind of rough and I won't be needing it. So that is what I'm marking. After which I'm going to go ahead and mark another half inch, which is going to serve as the joining allowance at the waist. That is what the second marking is for, before we now go into the main measurement. Okay, so guys, now that now that I'm done with that, I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches away as my band. The band I want is 1.5 inches. So I'm taking that from my measurement. Then I'm marking my hip line. For my hip, I use 10.5 inches, and I'm going to make that into a straight line. After marking the hip line, the next line we want to mark is the crotch line. For this, I used 13 inches. Just try to get what works for you and use it as your crutch. This is a baggy pant. It's not going to be fitted. So 13 is just fine for me. So I'm marking my 13 inches, and do not forget to take away the measurement for your band. It could be 2 inches, it could even be 1 inch. If what you're using is 1 inch, 2 inches, remember to take it away from the measurement when marking. After that, I'm also going to make this into a straight line. At this point, I hope these markings are even visible. If it's not very visible, I'm sorry about that, guys, but I think it's we can still see it, right? So moving on, after making this into a straight line, we're going to determine the length of this trouser. For me, I use the length of 44 inches because I actually wanted it to flow, but eventually I removed an inch from it after I was done. So mark your measurement, your length, and after marking that, I went ahead to add 2 inches hemming allowance to my trouser. So that is what I'm about to mark now. I'm just going to add 2 inches to what I have. At this point, you might need to remember to mark it because I almost made a mistake of cutting out before I remembered, oh, I didn't have my hemming allowance. So mark it before you cut. Now, after we're done, sorry, the light went over this point, but okay, we're still going to just forge ahead. So now I'm done with that. Next thing, you come to your hip line. I'm going to take my hip measurement divided by 4, add my 4.5 inches or 5 inches ease, and I'm going to mark that down on the hip line. The hip line goes first. So whatever I have on the hip line, I'm going to also mark that on my crotch line. What I have on my hip line, I marked that on my crotch line. Then I went ahead to my waistline to also mark that exact measurement. So after that, I'm going to connect these dots, these markings, make it into a straight line from the waistline to the crotch line, waistline to hip line, then to crotch line. Then on my crotch line, I'm just going to mark in my crotch extension. I used 2.8 inches, I guess, or 2.7. That was what I used then. From the hip line, I created a slight curve so I could get my crotch curve. And I went to the hem line also. What I have on this crotch line, I took the measurement of everything I have on my crotch line and I marked it on my hem line and I connected it to the crotch line. I mean, this is a baggy pant, right? So there is no need for, trying to pencil anything out. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my front piece. Now, after cutting, I opened it up. I mean, it's going to be two pieces, so I opened that up. And I'm going to be using this to cut out the back piece. So for the back piece, I'm going to bring back the other material. I'm going to fold it into two, making sure it is 2 inches wider than my front piece and also 2 inches longer than it at the upper part. So I'm going to place this front piece on the back piece, then extend my crotch line with 2 inches, extend the sides by 2 inches, extend every part of this back piece with 2 inches. Then the upper part, I'm going to extend this by 1.5 inches. At this point, I'm sorry, my camera didn't catch that, but I extended by 1.5 inches, which I now marked down to connect to the waistline for the front. So it's going to give me like a slant shape, a slant line. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my back pieces. And now after that, I'm just going to cut out my pocket before we move to joining our pieces together, before we move to sewing. So I'm going to take the pieces I have from my fabric after cutting. I'm just going to, I'm going to set this aside first, then take these pieces, mark 1 inch. I folded it into four actually. I have this on fold. Mark 1 inch. From that 1 inch, mark another 7 inches. Depends on how much you want for your pocket opening. It could be 8 inches and it could be 6 inches if you're in a very small side. So I used that as a guide for my pocket. I used my hand as a guide. The fabric was actually not sitting properly. It was actually very shaky, but we got it done. So just mark it, connect it back to the 7 inches mark we already had. And after that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my pockets. Now I have 4 pieces for my pocket. Yes. So now that we're done, here is what is next. We're moving to sewing. So for our sewing, we're going to bring our pieces. So my front piece, I'm going to join the crotch with half of an inch, and I'm also going to join the back piece with half of an inch. Now that I'm done joining, this is the time to fix my pocket. So the front piece first, I'm going to take my pocket and I'm going to size it up, place it where it's supposed to be, right sides facing each other. And I'm just going to go ahead and mark 1 inch away from the waistline. I'm trying to arrange it first, after which I'm going to just mark 1 inch away from the waistline. This is because half inch is going to go into the band, then half inch before the pocket opening starts. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to, from that 1 inch, I'm going to pin my pocket down. I'm also going to do the same for the other side, and I will also do same for the back piece. So I'm just trying to pin it down so it doesn't move, because the fabric is a very, very shaky fabric, guys. It shakes a lot. So I did the same thing. I marked 1 inch away from the waistline, then pin my pocket from that 1 inch, and I did the same for the back piece. So here's the back piece. That is what I'm doing now. After which I'm going to take it to the sewing machine to stitch it down. Now that I'm done stitching down, there's a time to join the two pieces together. Remember to top stitch your pocket, guys, if you like. Anyways, it's not necessary, but I did for mine. So I'm going to place these fabrics right sides facing each other, and I'm going to join from the waistline. I'm just going to join, follow my hand, go through the pocket right down there, and sew down to the hem of the trouser. And I'm also going to do the same for the other side. Guys, do not close up your pocket. Do not close up your pocket. Just go this way through the pocket and right down. After which, I'm going to bring it back for you to see. So I'm done joining, and here is what we have. The next thing now is to join the crotch area. What we are going to do is we're going to match up the crotch area crotch area joining, matching up with crotch area. Then from one crotch area, you're going to sew down to the hem, and you're also going to do the same for the other hand. And now this is what we have. So now you're going to take your measurement, what you have on this trouser on the waist. You're going to take your measurement. I had about 64 inches at this point. I use that in creating a band, and my band was about 4 inches. When I fold, it's going to be 2 inches, and half inch is going to go for joining. 1.5 inches is going to go for my elastic, because my elastic was supposed to be 1.5 inches. That was what I planned on making it, right? So I'm just going to go ahead. You can pin it down if you want, and you're just going to join the band. While joining, I made sure I did not join all through. I left about 3 inches for myself, so I'll be able to pass my elastic through it. So here is what I have after joining, and that is the opening I was talking about. Now for my elastic, I have 1 inch elastic. So what I did was I cut into two. My waist measurement, I removed about 3 inches from it. That was what I used in cutting the elastic, and I placed it over each other to create a 1.5 inches long elastic, after which I'm going to be passing it through with a safety pin. And after that, when you bring it out from the other end, place it over each other this way and stitch it down as tight as you can. Tuck it back in and close up the opening, and you're going to hem the down part of your trouser. And that is all, guys. Is this not beautiful? Here is what it looks like on me. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button, guys. Bye.